Oh, hello, you wonderful humans. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. It's a good day. After 30 years, $10 billion, a trip through space, we're getting our first color images from the James Webb Space Telescope. We got one last night. I did a live stream last night to kind of go over the significance of the first James Webb image that came out last night, because they did a horrible job during that live stream of representing the significance of that first image. But we did a live stream last night kind of going over it. And I was also up all night imaging from my own telescopes, which was good. I got some good data. I think maybe we'll take a look at some of that today while waiting for the James Webb images to come in as well. But for those of you that don't know, that are new to the channel, I'm fascinated with space in general. There's cats losing their minds behind me. Fascinated with space. Started astrophotography 2 years ago now. Y'all made me start. Ready for some stellar images today? I am so ready. So ready. I don't know how quick the images will come out, but I gotta pull up the NASA stream. So the NASA stream, 38,000 people watching. First full color images. And then we'll have some people for like 2 hours talking about the images as well, which will be cool. Two years sounds about right. Yeah, I think so. I'm just trying to wake up my nose. My nose is itching like crazy from petting the cats just before this. Oh, thank you, Belle. I'm doing well, thank you. Doing quite well. Little tired. I was up very, very late last night imaging. I'll show y'all what I was working on last night. While we're waiting for the James Webb stream to start. NASA stream is 720p. God dang. They should be releasing the images around the same time as they're shown on stream, which means we should be able to download them and look at them at a higher resolution. Let's see here. I've imaged the Bubble Nebula last night. I didn't get a lot of data on it, but we can try and stack it here real quick. Let me do this. Play with Moxie. Thank you for becoming a super bean. Welcome to the community. 3. And we'll get this put together real quick while we're waiting for the first image from James Webb. Data from the James Webb actually has to be processed, I mean, in a relatively similar way to what I'm about to do. Caught my first stream in forever. Completely missed my rainbow bean moment. Oh my god. Sweet baby Jesus. Caitlin, congrats on the rainbow corgi. That is phenomenal. Now let's go into the Bubble Nebula HA. I'm gonna process this without anything. So essentially what I'm doing right now is I threw this into a program called Siril, and it's gonna calibrate and stack our images. So that way we can have like one nice looking image. But I gotta do this for each individual filter. Man, my brain is working on slow mode today. Do we know what the James Webb is imaging? Yeah, let me get the comparison images. I downloaded them last night, so y'all can know what to expect. I've got, did I not download them? Thought I did. Maybe they're on my desktop. Let's see here. Oh, I think it's starting. So this is going to be the Carina Nebula. This is one of them. And then the...
Skywatchers, this is it.
Oh, here we go.
This is the day we get the first science images back from the James Webb Space Telescope. And you've got a front row seat to the cosmos.
Oh, snap. Front row, baby. Front row. I wonder if this is pre-recorded. I'm assuming it's pre-recorded, at least this part.
I'm Michelle Thaller, your host for what can only be described as a celebration for everyone on Earth. So think about this. Light from the earliest days of the universe has been traveling to us for billions of years. Just over the last few weeks, we've captured some of that light with a telescope that sees the universe in an entirely new way. And today we share the very first results. So longtime space fans are going to know who this is. This is Dr. John Mather. He's the senior project scientist for the Webb Telescope and a Nobel Prize winner. And John, I couldn't be happier to be here with you today.
Thank you. It's a thrill to be here for this very special day.
How are you feeling?
I am thrilled and I'm relieved because, you know, when you start something this big, you know there's always a possibility it might not work. It did work. We are so proud.
There were a lot of
You've been on this project
possibilities for it to not
a very
work.
long time, right?
Yeah, started in 1995.
A ton.
We had just finished measuring the Big Bang. We measured it with the Cosmic Background Explorer satellite that we built right here at Goddard. And we measured the spectrum. We measured there are hot and cold spots in the Big Bang. So we said, now we know it all, how it all got started. But then what happened after that? So then I got a call from NASA headquarters. Would I like to work on this new telescope that's going to help answer those questions? What happened after the Big Bang? How did the galaxies grow? How did the first black holes grow? What happened all the way from there to here? So this is our time machine, and I just wanted to be part of it.
Lagging so
I'm
bad.
so thrilled that we got a chance to do it.
One of the things that I remember you saying, and this is kind of amazing, that after you win the Nobel Prize, you thought that this mission was the most important thing to work on.
Absolutely. It's the next question. After you know how it started, what happened then? And, you know, suddenly we now have the technology to do it. We didn't have 50 years ago. We didn't have
Am I excited? No, I'm
25
super
years ago,
excited.
even when we started this.
Tired right
Invent
now,
things
but
along
very
the way. So
excited.
we did that, and here it is.
Well, thank you. We'll be back to you in just a moment. So at the moment, we're going to talk about the way that Webb is a completely new way to explore the universe. So today, the mission releases its first science images and gives wings to the dreams of so many people who worked so hard for so long to make this possible. For everyone on Earth, this is your telescope. This is the largest, most powerful observatory ever put into space. It's the product of
100
thousands
times
of
more
people
powerful
working
than
for
Hubble.
more than 2 decades. This is a mission that's singularly focused on the biggest questions in science. So the following phrase is often used too easily, but today actually does
It's so
mark the dawn
laggy.
of a new era. Today, the Webb mission is open for scientific business, and this is just the beginning.
Oh, Lord.
The best is yet to come. So, John, one of the things you told me about is that you really want to make sure there are some people that get thanked, people that put a huge amount of effort into this.
Absolutely.
Is this what people
Our
have to deal with on
project
my live
manager, Bill
streams?
Oakes, took the project from a time of trouble when we didn't exactly know how we were going to get this to work, and got it all the way to the end. Here it is working, and it's because of Bill made this worldwide team. 20,000 people around the world were involved in making this thing all work, and Bill has been there every day making sure that it would happen. So,
Bradley, do you
another
ever
special
say
person
anything
is
good
Senator
anymore?
Barbara Mikulski. She saved our
Good Lord.
telescope, and she saved the telescope before us. She made sure after the Hubble telescope was launched and it was not in focus that we would go up and fix it. She made sure that happened. When the Webb telescope needed more resources, she made sure we could get that. So, Barbara, we thank you.
Well, it is such an honor to be with you, Jay. I mean, it's been a pleasure to be working with you through this whole thing. Thank you so much. Congratulations, and go Webb.
Thank you.
So this broadcast, much like every part of this mission, is a partnership. On our journey to explore distant places in space, we've been joined by intrepid travelers from around the globe. We have so many extraordinary collaborators. So let's check in with our partners who will be sharing the stage with us today. Journey to explore distant places in space, we've been joined by
I'm
intrepid...
trying to see if
Senator
I...
Barbara Mikulski. She saved
Okay, that doesn't work. I was thinking maybe if I scrubbed back,
so let's
then
check
it
in
would...
with our partners who will be sharing the stage with us today
then would work
as we
better.
reveal Webb's 5 first science images. From the European Space Agency, I'm joined by Katie Haswell in Darmstadt, Germany. Katie.
Trying to figure out why it's so
Katie in the
laggy.
background there. Also joining us from the Canadian Space Agency in Montreal, we have Natalie Willette and Sarah Gallagher. Bonjour.
It's definitely not me.
I see Katie in
Okay.
the background there. See the waving too. And so naturally, we're also going to be visiting the nerve center of this mission.
This is the NASA stream. I'm just going to refresh it. I'm sorry, everybody. I just want to make sure that we...
Great. So we'll be back with our international partners shortly, where they'll each reveal one of the new images.
Okay, it's definitely not
today
me.
We're also going to be joined by millions of science fans from around the world. Many are gathered at watch parties just for this event. So here we are really going international. So I'm beginning with Bhopal, India. We have a
They
signal
spent
from
all the
Bhopal.
money
Yes.
on the...
Excellent. Welcome to NASA.
on the
Hello,
telescopes, so they
everybody
couldn't
there.
afford anything for the
Wonderful to be
internet.
talking to you today, all the way in India. We'll be back to them later. Yes. Great to wave to you. Hi. Wonderful. And we also have a warm welcome now in Portland, Oregon. So we have them feed from Portland.
Why is it... Oh, it's because they're in a movie theater.
Hello, Portland. They're in an auditorium, I see. Okay, next we're going to go off to Milan, Italy. So afternoon in Italy. Do we have the feed from Italy? I guess we have a screen from Italy. And next we're going to go to Rutland, Vermont. So is this Vermont? Hello, Vermont. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Thank you for being part of this today. Okay, going even a little bit further afield, we have Netanya, Israel. Hello.
Telescope
Hello,
pictures or it didn't
Hey,
happen.
Really nice.
Yeah. Telescope pictures or it didn't freaking happen. All right. Well, while we're waiting for actual telescope pictures, I'll show you actual telescope pictures because apparently their stream does not want to work very well. The connection is so bad. NASA's got that potato internet. I'll tell you what. God dang. All right, so we'll go back over here for a moment while we're waiting for the stream to unscrew itself. And I'll show you the image that I took last night of the Bubble Nebula. HA. There we go. There we go. So this is an image I took from one of my telescopes last night of the Bubble Nebula. It's a pretty cool patch of space. The shirt is your color. It looks nice. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Let's see here. We definitely did not send a lot of alerts today, did we? How does NASA, of all things, have potato internet? It's most likely just an issue with their end. Looks like we're still lagging pretty hardcore. Yeah, it's brutal to watch. It was actually making me sick. We'll keep bringing it up. Let me know when they post their first image. We'll just download it. I would like to hear what they have to say, though. Never mind. Oh, wait, this is going to NASA. Laggily going to NASA,
Okay,
but going to
we're gonna
NASA.
release the first image right here at NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, Maryland, and we're just outside of Washington, D.C. NASA Goddard is home to the project office of the Webb Telescope, and the observatory portion of the telescope, the mirrors and the science instruments, were integrated and tested here before launch.
PBS
So for many
NewsHour
of us,
stream is
including
better.
Myself, seeing Webb come together bit by bit right in front of our eyes was an emotional and very inspiring experience. So it's kind of like a part of us was out there with Webb right now. A million miles away, part of our hopes and dreams are out there. So I understand there was a very select audience who's already seen the image.
Yes,
NASA's
so
broke.
Last night, on behalf of the project, I had the privilege of traveling to the White House with the Nelson.
Oh, and then
with
did my
the NASA
camera just
Administrator
die?
Nelson and other senior
Good Lord.
staff to share our first image with President Biden and Vice President Harris, and it was really fun. Oh my gosh!
Oh, this is so
We're,
much better.
They really geeked out.
Good
We had a
Lord.
closed
Thank you for the
session
heads
where we
up
got
on
to
that.
Walk through all the images and just share the excitement, and they were so thrilled. And they got
Did it
the
say my
feeling
battery
of what
died?
we're seeing. And so now we're gonna let's do it.
Okay, we've got the whole world watching. Are you ready to put the first image up?
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Oh, here we go.
All right, here we go.
Oh, that was from last night.
It's a deep field, and it's also
God
a deep field with a cluster.
dang it.
So why don't we walk through this just a little bit? So if we come up and look at this image, first of all, it's really gorgeous, and it's teeming with galaxies. And that's something that has been true for every image we've gotten with Webb. We can't take blank sky. Everywhere we look, there's galaxies everywhere. And so, you know, this image, as we're looking at it, what we're seeing is not just all the galaxies, but there's a cluster here. And so the cluster are all these white, kind of ethereal galaxies. We're seeing them as they looked back in time. right? The speed of light is only so fast. And so as we're seeing distant galaxies out in space, we're seeing them as they looked billions
Thank
of
God
years ago.
she's explaining it.
So these
They did a
cluster
horrible
galaxies,
job
the
last
white
night
ones, we're seeing as they look
explaining
about the time the sun and the earth.
why this was so amazing.
And then behind the cluster, we have the gravity of the cluster is distorting and warping our view of what's behind. And so there are these galaxies that look stretched and pulled, kind of like they've been magnified because they've been magnified by the gravity of the cluster, just like Einstein said they would. And it's really, there's so much detail here. We're seeing these galaxies in a way that we've never been able to see before. There's just a sharpness and a clarity we've never had. And so we can look at, if we zoom in on this image, and I encourage you as you grab this image at home, like zoom in. You can really zoom in and play around. There are galaxies here in which you're seeing individual clusters of stars forming, popping up just like popcorn. And then we also see in the background of this image, kind of littered like jewels all over the back of the image are these faint red galaxies. Now, that was what we built the telescope to do. The most distant of those are billions of years. We're seeing as they looked more than 13 billion years ago. And so galaxies like that one right there, this little red guy, you're like, okay, yep, what is that? Well, Webb got spectra to figure out what those galaxies are made of.
And there we go.
And this is that one. We're seeing as it looked 13.1.
So right here, a lot of you asked how I image astrophoto images, right? Like this one right here. So this is an image that I took from my own observatory. This is of the Bubble Nebula. And a lot of you are asking, like, how am I taking these photos? This is actually how. So when I talk about the filters that we're imaging with, these are the filters here. So we have oxygen, hydrogen, there's neon. And essentially, these are picking out these specific wavelengths of light. And a lot of what I image in is hydrogen, oxygen, and sulfur. They don't have any sulfur on here, but yeah.
Past. Less than 1 billion years after the Big Bang. And we're seeing the elements of oxygen and hydrogen as well as neon. This is how the oxygen in our bodies was made in stars, in galaxies, and we're seeing that process get started.
Yeah, I want to give this a little bit of context. So this is now the farthest away galaxy that we have this sort of detailed information about.
That we know what it's made of.
We know what it's made of.
Yes.
That's
and
super
this was
cool.
not a long exposure for Webb.
No, the previous record holder, right, the Hubble Extreme Deep Field, was 2 weeks of continuous work with Hubble, and it was just imaging. With Webb, we took that image before breakfast. The amazing thing about Webb is the speed at which we can churn out discoveries.
Took the image before breakfast.
Everything that you're going to see here in this broadcast is a week, and we're going to be doing discoveries like this every week.
God, that telescope is so sensitive. The amount of data we're going to be getting off of this thing is insane.
On all your hard work.
Thank you. It's so wonderful to see it pay off.
So thank you, and I'll see you later on today, I hope. So
yes.
Enjoy the day.
Thank you.
Right.
No, I cannot.
So
I can't image neon.
We now turn our eye to something a bit closer. It's a planet, but not one in our solar system.
Okay, it's
Remember that
WASP.
Earth and its sibling planets
I imaged
aren't the
this
only
one.
show in the universe. When scientists and engineers started developing JWST, the search for exoplanets wasn't even part of the plan. That's changed. Exploring exoplanets is now a major component of the mission and the subject of our second big reveal of the day. I'm going to send it now to our friends Natalie Willette and Sarah Gallagher at the Canadian Space Agency in Montreal. So again, bonjour.
I anticipate this one not being a very beautiful, amazing photo. What's going to be in this one is them actually analyzing the atmosphere
we're having a little
of a planet orbiting another star. They're so confused with this live stream, but I'm here for it.
Okay. I'm going to go for and I'm here to tell you.
Man, they are struggling.
Sorry for the brief pause there. We're now going over to Canada.
Are we?
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. Well ready.
Oh,
Okay, I
man.
apologize.
They
I had
tried.
some trouble with the signal from Canada. But luckily for us, we have an exoplanet expert right here, just in case that happened. So this is Nicole Colon, and she's an exoplanet scientist at NASA. And we're going to talk about this amazing new result from a very hot planet, I understand about 1,000 light years away.
That's right. The exoplanet is named WASP-96b, and it is this hot, gaseous, giant, puffy planet.
Oh,
that
why is her
about
voice so much
1,000
lower?
light years away. So that's why today's release is so exciting, because it teases at what Webb is going to do for such a distant.
Who's whispering
Absolutely.
into the
So talk us through
microphones?
what this
What are they
discovery is
doing?
and why this is so significant.
Well, this reveal that you're going to see is going to show the first spectrum of an exoplanet as taken from the Webb telescope.
Oh my
and
God.
it's exciting because
Y'all
it
heard
covers
that, right?
infrared wavelengths of light that we have not had access to before. So we've been able to use other telescopes to explore exoplanet atmospheres in the infrared, but not to this level of detail. And this is just one sliver of data that Webb is providing us using the NIRISS instrument specifically.
And there's something about infrared that is actually particularly good for the spectrum. So in this case, what we're doing is
They
we're actually
do
gonna take the
space,
light
not live
and break
streams,
it
is
up
what
into
they
a
said.
rainbow, and look very, very carefully at how much color is coming in each part of the spectrum. So I believe we have that image, if we can put that up.
Okay, yes, I believe we're revealing the spectrum right here. So we now have our spectrum, and this is exactly what you're seeing. As you just described with spectroscopy, what we did was we observed a transit of an exoplanet. We observed the planet as it passed in front of the star. Now, mind you, this is not a direct image. This is an indirect image. So we've seen the effect of what happens when the planet and its atmosphere passes in front of the star. The starlight filters through the atmosphere.
There we go. I was hoping
and
they were going to bring this
then
up.
you can break that down into wavelengths of light, and you get a bunch of what looks like bumps and wiggles to some people.
All right, so hold on. I can explain this in a little bit more detail because I've been doing this myself with my own telescope. So I'm bringing up an image here of just to kind of put it into context of what they're doing. Let's see here. Just let me pull up one of my. It's in one of these folders here. Maybe? Yeah, WASP 183b. So this is the same, this is actually, here we go. This is the one. This is the same image, or basically looking at the same exoplanet. So what they're doing is they're taking a picture of a field. Obviously, the James Webb is going to be looking much deeper, but still, when they're studying an exoplanet, the exoplanet is actually on this star right here, this one. And what you're doing is while you're imaging this throughout the night during what's called a transitory period. And that transitory period is right here. So you can see you're going to have like this steady level of light. And when you have a light, or when you have a star that's either going like supernova, or it's variable, or it has something orbiting it, when something passes in front of the star, you can measure that dip of light. And that's exactly what they're doing. But with spectroscopy, you're able to then analyze what's going on within that dip of light. So you're basically measuring, you know, the dip of the light
Of what looks like bumps and wiggles to some people, but it's actually full of information content.
as the exoplanet
So
is crossing
you're
over the
actually
star.
seeing bumps and wiggles that indicate the presence of water vapor in the atmosphere of this exoplanet.
So we have the spectrum up here. Is there anything you'd like to highlight particularly?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have several features marked
So each
here.
of these
I call them
points-
features. They're these what I
Each of these points is an image. So each of these little dots here is an image that the James Webb Space Telescope took, and then it's measuring the variance in light within that image.
just referred to as bumps and wiggles, but what you're seeing here is a telltale signature, the chemical fingerprint of water vapor in these atmospheres, in the atmosphere of this specific exoplanet. And the other thing we can tell actually is that there's evidence of clouds and hazes because the water features are not quite as large as we predicted. So we can take that and infer that there are presence of clouds and hazes.
Right. Now, one thing that we really want to make sure people understand is with this particular planet, this is a hot world. It's actually closer to its star than Mercury is to our sun. And so we're not looking at liquid water here, but we're looking instead at sort of steam, water vapor.
Yes, this is an exoplanet. It's about the size of Jupiter, about half the mass of Jupiter. It orbits around a sun-like star, but it does it every about 3.5 days. So it's extremely hot, extremely close in, nothing like our solar system planets. But that's okay, because what we're seeing is, again, the first exoplanet data from Webb, and this is just the beginning. We're going to start pushing down to further smaller planets and being able to take measurements just like this with the NIRS instrument that was built by the Canadian Space Agency, but also there's three other science instruments that will add to our knowledge in the infrared, as well as direct imaging modes along with the transit method. So there's a lot more to come.
And I guess one thing we should mention is not only are we going to be looking at planets that are more like the Earth in the future, but we'll also be looking at planets in our own solar system.
Absolutely, yes. We're going to have exciting data from planets in our solar system, from Mars outward, as well as asteroids and comets. So stay tuned for a lot more to come.
Thank you so much, Nicole. Thank you so much for telling us about the spectrum, and I'll be seeing you
So
later
I
on today.
did warn you all that the exoplanet one was not going to be pretty,
and with that
but
new
those
and more
dots are
exciting
very
science.
important.
But first, let's take a look back at the journey that brought us to this moment. Celebrations like this one are only possible with years of hard work from a cast of thousands. When a new mission is being built, even the most enthusiastic space fans only get to see dramatic moments in its life cycle, the news and images that come out in updates and press releases. But that doesn't really give you the sense of the huge effort that goes on behind the scenes every day. The plans, schedules, and organization to keep everything moving forward really happens, for the most part, out of people's gaze. Webb started as an idea that took root at NASA Goddard. It grew first into planning teams, research projects, schematics, requirements. Then it began the long journey to become real with the development of new technologies, cutting-edge engineering, and finally fabrication, putting it all together. Let's take a brief look back at the visionary journey to how we all got here today.
So today was the final closeout of the purge.
Okay, guys, I can hear Rupa,
It's
but
a pretty emotional moment to be in there and actually, you know, closing it up for the very last time.
I still,
right? The last one to touch this.
I love that the whisper that came through was somebody saying that we do space, not live streams. That was probably the best part of the stream so far. But yeah, I know. So people were disappointed because of the image that was released yesterday, and then the dots. The next two images are most likely going to be the ones that people are like, holy crap about. Because those first two images, and a lot of these are also test images, so they're really like calibrating the capabilities of the telescope and getting to understand the sensitivity of it, like the amount of information. Like obviously they sent it up there knowing what it could do, but once you actually start using it, then it gives you a whole other level of depth of knowledge of what the system is capable of. And a lot of stuff that they're doing right now is tests. So the image we got last night was very much kind of a... Sorry, I got distracted with some of these weird images from the from the telescope. Let's see here. The deep field image that we got last night is essentially comparing it to the sensitivity of the Hubble telescope. And when you compare it to Hubble's previous image of the same region, then you really start to understand how much more powerful this new telescope really is. So we have that image from last night. And if you compare it to, I have Hubble's original image here. You can tell the difference here. So this took 12 days for Hubble to be able to photograph. And they photographed this one with the James Webb Space Telescope before breakfast in less than 12 hours. So the difference here is insane. And this is all really important because what the James Webb Space Telescope is going to be actually studying is all of the galaxies, like basically like within 100 million years of the Big Bang. And now we can actually see them in stunning detail, really, with this, you know, gravitational lensing effect that happens around highly, like objects with insane gravity, which would be this kind of cluster right here.
So it's appropriate now that I send the broadcast to our colleagues and friends at the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore. That's the scientific nerd center of the entire Webb mission. So hello, good morning, Alex. The show is yours.
Star death.
Hey, Michelle.
Okay.
Welcome to the Space Telescope Science Institute. I'm Alex Lockwood, and I'm here with Carl Gordon, who is an astronomer and one of the key people in delivering the images that you're going to see here today. But actually, before we get into the amazing images, we're going to talk a little bit about where we are. We're standing here outside of the Mission Operations Center, which is the key central hub for Webb. For the past 6 months, scientists and engineers have been working 24/7 since they took control of the telescope 30 minutes after launch to prepare for today and for the amazing science to come. through all of the major deployments.
Karina, I do not disagree at all. I think if they explained the problem was that first image really should have been a good example of a good grabbing image, but they had Biden and some other really old dude explain the significance of it, and they did a horrible job. I actually felt really bad for the James Webb team at how bad they showcased the first image.
List of proposals from astronomers across the country and the world for what they would like to look at with Webb. Then we hold a rigorous selection process to select the ideas that will best utilize Webb to study and understand our universe. When the data come down and astronomers analyze their results, we
well
are
past
the
when it
lucky
should have been.
ones who get to share that data and those amazing science results with you. And we knew that today was going to be so exciting with the first images, so we've actually been preparing for years. Here is Klaus Pontoppidan, project scientist for Webb and the technical lead for the first images,
yeah, it's been a years
to tell you
process.
about the process of the past few years of selecting
my first
the
email
targets.
related to the first images was back from 2016.
Oh, they're struggling.
So back then, a committee was created, and this committee was charged with coming up with a long list of targets for the first images. And the reason for that is that the observatory can't see the entire sky at any given time. And this is because you want to avoid the mirror seeing direct sunlight to keep it cold. And it actually had to be quite a long list. We ended up with about 70 targets, from which we had to select only a handful. You know,
Man, you should have done all 70.
Beautiful images, what would highlight the instruments, the different 4 science instruments for Webb, and what would highlight the 4 major science themes for Webb. And it's a celebration as well of the beginning of science observations.
So the next 2 images they're going to show are going to be the beautiful images that you're expecting.
Selecting the images was just the
Probably
beginning.
Karina.
That we would need a trained eye
First,
to take
maybe?
these exquisite data and pull out the beauty and the science potential. So here's Jody Pasquale and Elisa Pagan to tell you about how they processed these beautiful images.
All right, here we go. This is the stuff that I do, which they're going to showcase right now. Yep, here it is. Okay. So it's going to be Stefan's quintet first.
We're basically
so these are LRGB photos.
The light that we can see by applying color like red, green, and blue to the different filters that we have from Webb. And the reason we want to color the images is because there's actually more that you can get, more information that you can get from the image if you see it in color.
So it's a matter of picking and choosing filters and colors that enhance the details and the structure in the image itself.
The shortest wavelengths
y'all have
of
seen me
infrared
do
light
this.
and assign those blue colors, and then move our way down.
Oh, that's Karina.
green and red
Okay.
as we go to longer and longer wavelengths.
And then we additively combine those together to get our full color image.
But there is a lot of aesthetics that are involved in this. Painstakingly going through and cleaning these images up with an attention to detail, a level of detail like at the pixel level in every image.
Yep.
So when I'm working on the astronomical data, it is this sort of marriage between art and science. When you're choosing colors for the filters, you really are trying to show the different details and the process.
I can only imagine
astronomical images, but at the end of the day,
being
you want
the
it to be
first
very
person
compelling. You want it to be
to
very
actually
beautiful because
combine a
space is
photo from this telescope. I'll show you the process after this of what goes into processing an image. I have one here that I'm working on myself.
And after those images were processed,
of the Bubble Nebula right here.
Few of us, very lucky few of us, who got to see the first images.
This is downscaled by a factor of 4. Exactly. So it's just to make it a little more handy, so it's actually higher resolution. So we have a team of about 30 people who are producing these images, and we feel incredibly privileged to be the ones who are the first to see these science-like images. When we saw the first data come down of real targets, people were speechless, and there were emotions, because we immediately could see how amazing this observatory will be. The detail, the sharpness, the depth. And when we saw the first color images, we knew that we had a winner.
And now we are ready to
Here we
see
go.
Webb's
Karina?
first image of a star dying, a planetary nebula called the Southern Ring.
Okay, the Southern Ring Nebula is super freaking cool. Holy shit.
Wow. Wow. This
is a
infrared image is wow.
This is a planetary nebula. This is actually something similar to what our star will do in about 4 billion years. So that star at the very center is the one that went from a red gaseous giant, shed its outer layers.
Wow. Okay. Well,
and became a white dwarf at the very center.
On our left, or on maybe your right. And here on the right, we have a near-infrared image. And so I'm here with Carl, our astronomer specialist. Can you tell us what we're looking at in these images?
So this is a planetary nebula. It's caused by a dying star that has expelled a large fraction of its mass over in successive waves.
Okay, so we actually see those waves in these images.
Yes.
Wow. And so there's a lot of structure. Can you tell us a little more detail about what we're looking? Maybe start with this one on the left.
Trying to pull up a high quality shot of it.
Image, you see this kind of bubbly, almost foamy appearance throughout the whole nebula with some very structured shells. And this foaminess is showing up in orange mainly. And this is due to the molecular hydrogen that's newly formed in the expansion, just lighting up the gas and dust of this nebula. And then as we move inward, you see this kind of very blue haze in the inner region. And this is actually due to very hot ionized gas that emits well in the blue that's heated by the core, the leftover very hot core of this star.
And what about these like rays that I'm seeing in this image?
Right, so there's also rays in the outer regions that you can kind of see, and these are holes in the inner nebula that are actually allowing the central star's light to come out and kind of light it up like, patchy clouds with the sun shining through.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's what it looks like. That's so
It's
cool.
something similar.
So you're actually a mid-infrared astronomer, which is different than near-infrared. And so what can you tell us about
All right, so I got the high-quality image here.
So it looks quite different in color, partly because we're seeing different kinds of physics going on here. So we're actually seeing in the blue, you see a lot of blue. The blue is actually due to hydrocarbon grains that are emitting very strongly in the blue for MIRI. And they show the very similar structures to what we see in orange and NIRCam because the molecular hydrocarbon actually forms on the surface of dust grains.
Good Lord.
So again, as we move inward, we see that the inner region is again hot ionized gas, but now it glows red because that's where it emits the strongest for MIRI wavelengths.
Okay.
And then as we go into the center, we see kind of the surprise for us, which is we knew this was a binary star, but we effectively didn't really see much of the
It is a binary star. Wow.
But now in MIRI, this star glows red because it has dust around it. So in MIRI, we got to see both stars very clearly.
That's super cool.
Yeah, you can't see it in the first image really, but there's 2 stars there.
Yeah, without James Webb, we probably would have never known that there are actually 2 stars here.
Easter egg you want to tell us about?
Yeah, so this was the Easter egg is this kind of narrow filament up in the top that's radially aligned. You can kind of see it very clearly in the MIRI image. It shows up as this
right here.
Blue structure, and it points very much to the central sources. So I thought, oh, this must just be a density enhancement in the outer nebula.
Holy
I
shit.
thought that very, very strongly, but other people on the team were like, no, it's a background edge on galaxy. Well,
yeah, it is
I made a
right
bet
there.
and said, no, it's part of the nebula.
How did that dude not know it was an edge galaxy?
Carefully at both the NIRCam and MIRI images, and it's very clearly an edge-on galaxy with a dust lane and a bulge. So
I'm not a scientist, and I knew it was an edge-on galaxy.
So I think it's a win
You can
for
tell because it's got the brighter core here. You can see some of the dust lanes right here.
See where we go from here.
So this is a galaxy behind this planetary. Then you have another galaxy right here. Another one right here. There's one right there. There's one right there. I mean, actually, almost everything except... So basically, everything that doesn't have a diffraction spike in this is a galaxy.
You know, people from all over the world are watching us today.
You got another one right there.
In our excitement.
You can see it here as well in infrared.
We've been checking in with our colleagues.
This
in Europe
one's
and Canada
very
throughout the
far
program,
away right
but
here.
We also want to take a moment to include the people at the so many viewing parties scattered around the world like stars in the night sky. So let's check in with some of them now. First, we go all the way to Perth, Australia.
I don't want to go to Perth. I want to keep looking at this image. You heathens. So yeah, this is something very similar to what our star will go through. So as they were talking about, you see these different layers here that are kind of pulsing out. You can see a couple others in here. So as the star is basically what's going to happen in about 4 to 5 billion years is our own star will actually turn into a red giant. So it's going to go from its size that it is right now. It's going to expand, and it's going to actually eat the majority of our solar system. It's going to get so big that our star will eventually take up what will be the majority of the solar system. I think there's a map of exactly what planets will be eaten. And then as the star begins to die, it's going to shed those outer layers in these pulses. So it's going to basically expand and it's going to shed its outer layers. And that's how you get this really wavy look to a planetary nebula. And these can do all sorts of different things. If you have a star that's rotating really quickly, you can get these kind of twirls and explosions that come out of it. It's really crazy. And then eventually what you're left with is a white dwarf. And that'll be at the very center of the planetary nebula. That's why you'll have things that look like the Eye of God Nebula. This is one of my favorites, called the Helix Nebula. Let me see here. Helix Nebula. Helix Nebula. Let me bring that one up. This is one that I absolutely love. It looks ridiculous. This is a very similar kind of thing where you have that star left at the very center here, which is a white dwarf.
Hello, watch party at Goddard. Yay!
Long time. Hey, Jen Singer, how you doing? What's up, little man?
Okay, wonderful.
Right,
So
no
at
Pokemon cards
NASA,
right now.
we are so fortunate to have
Give 'em a
all of these
second.
friends and colleagues around the globe. A major partner in the Webb mission is the European Space Agency. ESA contributions have been essential to so many aspects of this project, including Webb's spectacular launch on the Ariane 5 rocket last December. I'm very pleased to turn over the show for a few minutes to Katie Haswell. She's joining me from the European Space Operations Center in Darmstadt, Germany. Hello, Katie. Good afternoon.
Okay, so Galaxy. So this one is going to be Stefan's quintet, which should be insane. I have
Thanks, Michelle.
the original image that we have of that.
Thank you, Michelle, and welcome
This
to
is Hubble's
Germany
original
here
image.
at the
So we get to
European
compare
Space
Hubble
I'm still getting all kinds
Hubble's
of
image
beef, lots of
Center. It's
to
where
the
the
next
teams
one here in a
effectively
second.
Fly the satellites. They're a little bit of a cross between air traffic controllers and pilots. We have lots of different control rooms here. This is the main control room, and as you can see today, it's not in use, so we've been lucky enough to move in here for today. I have two very special experts with me, both scientists from the European Space Agency. Giovanna Giardino is a NearSpec scientist. Giovanna has been working on that for
Hayden
many
just pulled
years
a
and lots
King
to tell
Drift
us
from
about that.
Pokemon
And Mark
Pack.
McCaughrean is a special advisor for
Man, I wish my
space
camera would
for
stop dying.
science and exploration.
Sorry, everybody.
These two guys have been working on the Webb Space Telescope for a long time, so we're very grateful to have you with us. Thanks, folks.
Pleasure.
We are excited to reveal our image with you. But before we do that, we thought we'd give you a little bit of background, because we've come here today because these guys were the first ones to pick up the signal during the Webb launch, when Webb first launched. They run
The amount
a
of things that
system
the James
called
Webb Telescope had to
ESTRAC,
go
which
through
is NASA's deep
to
space,
actually be usable is
tracking
insane.
system, and they were listening out when Webb called home. And the controllers here have been looking after a whole very, very impressive list of missions.
Imagine shooting
since,
$10 billion
1960.
in a rocket into space. How nervous
ESA
they were.
has played a very, very important role during the Webb for the Webb Space Telescope. They provided the launch on board the awesome Ariane 5 launch vehicle from the Guiana Space Center. The atmosphere in the Mission Control Center was electric, I can tell you. I was there. They've also provided people. We have 15 ESA scientists working at Space Telescope in Baltimore, and also they have provided the infrared spectrograph, the near-infrared spectrograph, and also half of the MIRI instrument, which is the mid-infrared instrument. Let's take a look at those now.
Webb's 4 scientific instruments include NearSpec, the near-infrared spectrograph led by ESA. NearSpec splits near-infrared light from astronomical objects into its components. Like a barcode, this will help scientists understand the physics of the objects they're observing, from their temperature to atomic makeup. NearSpec can observe parts of an object or the sky using an image slicer and an array of microscopic shutters. Webb's integrated science instrument module, located behind the main mirror, also contains MIRI, a mid-infrared camera and spectrograph. Seen here during testing, MIRI's been developed by a partnership between Europe and the US. MIRI detects mid-infrared light from planets, stars and galaxies. It can analyze molecules to help us deduce what astronomical
And the
objects
imaging
are
train
made
for
of,
this thing is
and
insane.
peer into clouds of gas and dust where
Then it
stars
bounces
and
through there,
planets
in
are
through
born.
another filter, which is going to separate
Together,
the light even
these
more.
instruments will help Webb detect and analyze light from the very dawn of time, revealing the universe as never before.
It's crazy how interesting and easy to understand you
So-
make all of this seem. I'm glad I can help out a little bit.
So let's get ready to reveal our image. And
Come on,
remember,
Stefan's
that
quintet.
one of Webb's jobs is to find out about galaxies, more about the galaxies, but also to help us to understand how they change. And this image is going to be very, very useful for that. Let's reveal it now. There it is. It's called Stefan's Quintet.
Oh.
And it's
Oh my
wondrous.
God.
Giovanna, what are we looking at?
Yes,
Okay,
like
we need the
it's a
high- we
quintet,
need the high
so
quality
we're
image.
looking at 5 galaxies. Galaxies are this giant structure that, as we've seen, we see everywhere around us in the universe. They contain from million to 100 billions of stars, and in fact we live in one of them, the Milky Way. And here we see 5 of them. This is a closer a galaxy in the foreground, and these 4 are at a distance of about 300 million light years from us, and are locked in a close interaction.
All right, so you remember what the best previous image we had of this was. So this was of the Hubble Space Telescope. This is the one that Hubble took. And then this is now the quality we have from James Webb Space Telescope. So let's zoom in a little bit here, because they had to really push. This is really like beyond pushing what the Hubble probably was able to achieve at the time. And let's zoom into what we now see with the James Webb Space Telescope. Look at the freaking detail in there. This is what our best image to date was. And then this. And you can see how these two galaxies now, like in this original image, you could tell that there was some interaction in here. You could tell that this galaxy was beginning to really strip away the outer layers, this one arm of this galaxy right here. You can see all the new nebula that's being created, but when you pull up the James Webb, you can really see just how much interaction is happening in there. And this is why the James Webb Space Telescope is really going to change the way that we understand space. Because we can, not only can we see more clearly in a beautiful image what's going on, but we can actually study the interaction within this part of space and what's going on when, two galaxies collide. But not only that, but then we're able to even more clearly see the galaxies that are behind this, all these red shifted galaxies that are probably billions of light years away in even more detail, and be able to study deeper and just more deeper and more detailed, more information than ever before possible. Let's actually compare this little patch together here. All right, where's this one? And then we have this right here. Absolutely insane. So this is Stefan's Quintet. This is a patch of 5 galaxies that are kind of interacting with one another. So let's zoom out and we can kind of do a comparison of the OG. There we go. And the new G. Different processing techniques for sure. You're not seeing a huge jump in quality. Oh, man. All right, so let's actually go back here because they're explaining a little bit more in detail.
Distribution of the gas, what's going on in the gas in different regions of this core area, and understand the composition of the gas, the velocities, the temperature. So that's very important to understand the physics.
So it's giving us so much information, and it just shows the power of this telescope. Mark, this is just the beginning, though, isn't it?
I think that's a very important takeaway from today. You know, these are like pictures just taken over a period of 5 days, and every
just
5 days we're getting more data, which will contribute more in that direction. It's a culmination of decades of work, but it's just the beginning of decades. And you know what we've seen today with these images is essentially that we're ready now. This telescope is working fantastically well, and you know, to borrow a phrase from a famous rock musician, you know, we're ready to turn this telescope up to 11. It really is time. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much indeed, both of you. Back to you, Michelle.
Just so that's only, like, you have to also take into consideration, like, these are the first test images. These are not the highest quality images that they'll be able to get from the James Webb Space Telescope.
So before we get to the fifth and final image reveal of the day, it cannot be said enough that an achievement like the James Webb Space Telescope is something bigger than any one of us.
And so they're a little bit further ahead than us.
Any
We can go back in while they explain this a little bit more, while we're waiting for the next image.
To study, because it really shows the type of interaction that drives the evolution of galaxy. That's the mechanism of galaxies' growth.
I love this image of the cosmic dance moving through each other. Mark, there's a lot going on, though, in this image, isn't there?
There is. So this is a near-infrared image and a mid-infrared infrared image combined. And when we zoom in on the left-hand side here, we see this foreground galaxy. We see lots of individual stars in there, actually resolved as point sources, which is remarkable. And then as we pan across, we actually see the galaxies in the merging galaxies. We now see gas and dust, which is being heated up in the collision between those galaxies. And that's a place where new stars are being born today. So we're actually seeing the process of creation of new stars in this region. And then when we look in the background here, we see not only the galaxies at 300 million light years, but also stars in our own galaxy. These snowflake structures that you see here, those are nearby stars. But in the corner and around the edges, we see galaxies which are much, much more distant, much further away. So similar in some sense to the ones that we saw earlier on in that.
Yeah, some of those galaxies that he's mentioning right there are going to be, you know, back towards the creation of our universe, which is insane. Let me get us caught up here. Are they imaging the Carina?
Stop for a moment and appreciate the people. Data says. Yeah. So one of the things that we're going to do is before we get.
All right, so they haven't shown the next image yet.
Say we're going to go do this.
But let's bring this back up. So one of the main benefits here is while I don't think y'all fully grasp the jump in detail, and I know it's definitely hard to understand if you're especially not working with images like these very often. But there's a couple different things that are incredibly different from Hubble. One is the ability to image at different wavelengths, so that way we can study different objects. We can study deeper. It's 100 times more powerful than Hubble. Is what the James Webb Telescope is. And I know they still look fuzzy and everything, but you're also looking at an image that's been compressed extensively through Twitter. But also you're looking at a pinpoint in the sky. We're literally imaging, if you took a grain of sand, put it between your fingertips, held it out at arm's length, that is the piece of space that you are trying to image with this telescope. So we are looking so very far away in such a small piece of the sky.
With us today.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, John, after each one of these milestones, I called a lot of people. I called Bernie, for example, and I called people who had my job and people who are administrators, because there's many of them. And I just wonder how you feel about the team. Just give you the word here.
I am just so thrilled that we had a privilege to assemble such a brilliant team. We drew from the best of the best, and here we are. So my extreme deep thanks go to all the people who built that team, not only to Bernie, who started us and helped us build up all the technology, to Phil, who made sure we would have a plan, and then when we didn't have quite enough money, to Bill, who pulled it all together and made it get all the way to the end.
The web images look way clear. Oh, they're definitely clear.
Talent to draw on, And
They
here
are
we
definitely
we
cool. I'm
have
trying
the
to pull up
support
even
of
higher
Freedom
quality
World
images.
to take on this immense challenge.
You know what I'm
I
most
want
excited about?
non-compressed
The 10
ones.
of
I just
thousands
can't find them
of
yet.
Scientists, and frankly, some of them just got born or not even born,
Yeah.
who are benefiting from this amazing telescope because it will be with us for decades.
It
Can you
will be.
imagine that?
It took us about 25 years to get here since 1995, and we have at least 25 to go, I hope.
So look, we are
This
in
one's
a
better.
sense of these images, the art that is out there in the sky, revealed for the first time. We're thinking of the team and we're thanking them. John, thanks to you, thanks to all of you, and back to Michelle.
Here's a
Thank you so
less
much, Thomas.
compressed
And
one.
This entire collection continues to just absolutely astound me. Okay, Amber, so here it is. Can you walk us through the final image reveal?
Absolutely. Here we go.
Oh. Holy sh!
Wow, look at that.
Oh my God.
Can you tell us a bit about what we're seeing here?
Of course. This stunning vista of the cosmic cliffs of the Carina Nebula reveals new details about this vast stellar nursery. Today, for the first time, we're seeing brand new stars that were previously completely hidden from our view.
There's something you want to point out here?
Absolutely. So honestly,
Holy
it took me a
shit.
while to even figure out what to call out in this image. There's just so much going on here. It's so
Oh
beautiful.
my
One thing that
God.
really stands out to me is you sort of get this sense
Sorry,
of
hold on.
depth
I'm trying to get the high
texture
quality.
from this new data. There's a lot going on. To call out a few specifics, first of all, in general, the Carina Nebula is a nearby star-forming region within our own Milky Way galaxy, about 7,600 light years away.
Oh
And
my
in this
God,
view,
look at that.
We see some great examples, first of all, of hundreds of new stars that we've never seen before. We see examples of
This is
bubbles
a
and
star-forming
cavities
region.
and jets that are being blown out by these newborn stars. We even see some galaxies sort of lurking in the background up here.
Oh
We
my
see examples of structures
God.
that honestly we don't even know what they are. Like, what's going on here?
Holy.
The data is just so rich.
And there's something really special about the infrared. Infrared can actually see
In
deep
this,
into these star-forming
like the
regions.
crazy thing here
That's
is
one of the
this
great
is
things about infrared is it really does reveal
barely any
what's
time
going
on a
here
target.
in a really cosmic
Holy
sense.
crap.
And in general, what's happening in sort of this overall landscape is we have these gigantic, hot, young stars up here to
Oh
the
my
top of this
God.
rim. And the radiation and stellar winds from those stars is sort of pushing down and running into all of this. This is gas and dust. And of course, we know that gas and dust is great raw material for newborn stars and baby planets. But there's a flip side to this story and also a little bit of a mystery because these same processes can serve to sort of erode away this material and stop star formation. So we have this sort of delicate balance going on of new stars being formed.
like right
but at
here
the
is
same
a
time, the star
massive
formation is
pocket of
being
star
altered.
forming,
And for me, when I see an image like this, I can't
as well
help
as
but
probably
think about
in here,
scale.
all
You know,
through here
every
on
dot
this
of
rim.
light we see here is an individual star, not unlike our sun, and many of these likely also have planets. And it just reminds me that, you know, our sun and our planets and ultimately us were formed out of the same kind
Why
of
haven't they
stuff
released
that
the,
we
the
see
high
here.
quality image of this
We
yet?
humans really are connected to the universe. We're made of the same stuff in this beautiful landscape.
And actually, the Carina Nebula was one of my favorite images from Hubble. So Hubble looked at this as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You want to see the
Hubble image
comparison
of
from
this is
Hubble
also
in that one?
spectacular. We saw it in a different kind of light when Hubble took
There it
an
is.
image of this particular
Pathetic
nebula.
compared
And
to
then
James
you can
Webb.
see amazing things with Hubble, but when we zoom in
Look at that
to this new
comparison.
image, we're
Oh
able
my
to see
God.
so
Oh
much
no,
more
I screwed it up.
And of course,
Hold
all
on.
of us, you know, I grew up on Hubble.
Oh, no,
and
I didn't
all
screw
of
it
us,
up.
love Hubble, and I'm so excited to see what these two
God.
amazing observatories are able to do really in tandem with each other.
Thank you so much. And again,
Look at that
congratulations.
comparison
It's been a pleasure
again.
to be working on this with you. I'm just amazed by what's been going on.
I am too. Thank you.
Let me see if I can find it.
So as
in this beautiful landscape. On Hubble, and all of us love individuals, and some great examples, first of all, of hundreds of new stars.
You see a 136 megabit version of
We
it?
see
Where is that?
examples of bubbles
Put it in the
and
chat
cavities,
if you can find it.
jets that are being blown out by these newborn stars. We even see some galaxies sort of lurking in the background up here. We see examples of structures that
Hubble was
we
just
don't
trying
even
its
know what
best.
they are. Like,
Exactly.
what's going on here? The data is just so rich.
And there's something really special about the infrared. Infrared can actually see deeper into these star-forming regions.
Absolutely. That's one of the great things about infrared is it really does reveal what's going on here in a really cosmic sense. And in general, what's happening in sort of this overall landscape is we
Where the
have
hell
these
is the-
gigantic, hot, young stars up here to the top of this rim. And the radiation and stellar winds from those stars is sort of pushing down and running into all of this. This is gas and dust. And of course, we know that gas and dust is great raw material.
F's in chat for Hubble. Hubble was amazing for the tech. Oh yeah,
But
no.
there's
Hubble.
a flip side to this story, and also
Hubble will definitely go down. I mean, not to take anything away from Hubble, it's just to really show the difference in the image quality, and why. Yeah, it costs $10 billion to make. It's really going to change the way we see and understand and study space. Now, if only I could find the high quality version of this god-dang image, which for some reason they still haven't posted anywhere. I mean, I have this one, but it's not, it's still very much not high quality, but just the detail in here. So to kind of also show you, so this is what I can image from my backyard. If James Webb Space Telescope was imaging this particular nebula that I have on screen right now, they would be looking at essentially this that I can't even see with my telescope. How long ago was Hubble made? I actually forget. Actually, James Webb Space Telescope started development around the same time as Hubble, though. It took about 30 years to make the James Webb Telescope. If anybody can find the high-res version of this one, I would love you forever. Hey, there it is. Got it. They finally just posted it. All right, say, oh my God. Yeah, the high-res version is redonkulous. Needs a bigger, stronger telescope, confirmed. My lord. Hubble launched in 1990. Yeah. Just look at this. Like all that fine detail. Oh my God. How sharp that is. Just look. Like getting the detail in all the little like filaments that are, you know, kind of being sucked and pulled around. And like all of these little areas where you can see this flow is actually, there's a gravitational force in there that's actually making all of this gas combine and form into a baby star. So like within all of these pockets, the reason why you were able to actually see this is called an emission nebula. And the reason they're called an emission nebula is because there are stars inside of this that are being formed. They could be old stars, they could be baby stars, but essentially gravity has kind of brought them all into this area. And the light from the stars that are within the gases are emitting the light that we can then image. So there's a whole bunch of hydrogen, sulfur, oxygen. There's a bunch of other elements that are in here as well. But essentially, these stars are lighting it up. And when a photon passes through this different gas, then it's going to emit a different wavelength of light. And what we're doing is we're imaging those different wavelengths of light to be able to create the images. So I'll show you what the different wavelengths will look like. So this is hydrogen. This is the most prevalent element in space. This is an image I took myself. And what you do is then, so you take... Like this is not what James Webb is doing. James Webb is going to be imaging in the infrared. So it's going to be using different wavelengths of light, but a very similar process in terms of actually combining it into an image. So I'll show you how that works if I can pull up the rest of the stuff here. Astrophotography. Let me pull up something that I've already got a lot of data on. We'll do, what have I been working on? We'll do skull and crossbones. So skull and crossbones is another patch of a nebula. So this is hydrogen here. And then if we pull up the oxygen wavelength, this is all of the light from the oxygen bandpass. So you can see the difference here and how you image it. And these get assigned to R, G, and B. So I'll show you how that works here in a second. So this is the sulfur in the area. You can see that you get different levels of detail and different things will pop up depending on the wavelength of light that you're imaging. And this is why the James Webb Space Telescope is so much better, is because it can image so many different types of light to pull out detail and things that we've never been able to see before. And you really need to eliminate. You can imagine a big plane, and on this plane is all these different wavelengths of light. And when you're imaging a certain wavelength, you cut out every single other wavelength of light so you can see specifically what that interaction is. And that's where James Webb is really, really going to be allowing us to study things like never before. So I'll do a quick channel combination. So this is how you kind of start processing one of these images that you'll see from James Webb. Hydrogen gets assigned to green. Sulfur gets assigned to red, and hydrogen gets assigned to blue. This is actually called the Hubble palette. It's SHO. It's an SHO color calibration. And then what you can do is you then do a screen transfer function to stretch it. And this is how you get your color image that you'll see from James Webb. It would be color. I didn't align these images. That's my bad. But yeah. So that's essentially how that works. But let's go back to this image because it's truly fascinating. So this is all infrared, which means we're able to get like this insane amount of detail in all of these kind of flows of gases and everything. But what they're doing at the infrared point, they're then imaging the different wavelengths within that infrared signal to be able to get the red, green, and blue to create your color image. I wasn't alive for another 6 years when Hubble launched. But where are the aliens? James Webb is going to be our best chance at discovering like habitable planets and things like that. I mean, can't really say that it's going to allow us to see aliens, but I mean, it could theoretically be our best chance at that as well. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Let's pull up one of the Stephan's quintet again. This is the high resolution image. We need blankets of this one. I don't know if I can make blankets of James Webb stuff. I'm gonna print this out for myself though, for sure. I want this on the wall. I'm gonna get it printed today. In fact, actually, I wonder if we can get the raw data and I could process this myself. Did they post the raw data? Oh my God. Did they post the raw data yet? Oh, please tell me they posted the raw data. Download full resolution, uncompressed versions, and supporting visuals of Webb's first images from here. Please tell me they posted the raw data. I would love to process this myself. Let's see if we can find it. I'll bring it up on the screen. Events, first images behind the scenes, first image press releases, resources. Maybe it's in here. Videos, hands-on. Now, I want the raw data. Hubble's raw data is available. Oh, my freaking camera died again too. So the live stream's still going. Take years for them. It'll take years for them to post the raw data. You're probably right. You're probably right. Yeah, I don't see the raw data anywhere. Learn more about this image. Download full resolution. Yeah, I don't think they First images. Nope. All right. So they don't have the raw data available yet. I'm not surprised, just disappointed. Just disappointed. I don't think they're showing anything else today. Oops. Bring this back up. Yeah, this is the highest quality image that I've taken is right here. This is of the Elephant's Trunk Nebula. Gonna go back on NASA's door and ask them. So this is the Elephant's Trunk Nebula. Pretty sweet for a ground-based telescope that a Joe Schmo like me can have. Under the link for the full res, there are more options to download. Let's see here. So view larger versions of the image. And then download full resolution uncompressed versions and supporting visuals. So I click on this, and then it takes me to this website, which doesn't seem to have any other resources. Like there's a link there, but there's nothing actually there. I'll have to find them though. Interesting. Wish my camera would stop dying. I accidentally left it on all night after the live stream last night. Boop, boop, boop. Maybe. Come back. Baby, come back. There it is. Okay. But yeah, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, super freaking cool to check out the first images with all of you. I appreciate each and every one of you coming to hang out today. If I can get the raw data, I'll post it in the members Discord and all of that. Maybe we'll do some edits of it ourselves. Hopefully I'll get some more clear skies here so that we can actually use our telescopes to image these things together again as well. I can't image anything that the James Webb imaged because, well, I can image Stephan's quintet. I can do that, but I can't do anything else because it's all in the Southern Hemisphere. But anyways, I hope each and every one of you have a fantastic day. We'll be live streaming again later this afternoon, and I'll see you.